Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Isai. We are now in the week of Toldos, and let's talk about the Parshas Toldos. Then we'll, before we start, let's talk about the $100,000, the chance from Torah Anytime to win $100,000. This is a lottery. You buy a ticket for $100, you could win $100,000. You buy 2 tickets for $100, costs you $180. You buy 3 tickets for $100, it costs you $250. And 7 tickets for $100 costs you $500, and you could win $100,000. The best thing that came to the airwaves is TorahAnytime.com, and you're supporting the organization. You could be a winner of $100,000. Also, if you need a Parnasa help, give me a call 24/6 on my cell phone, 845-826-4789. You could, there's ideas that I have helped some people, a lot of people, with increasing their income stream, how you can get another source of income without giving up your personal profession that you have now. Another source of income that is nothing to sell or to collect or to build. It's a tremendous thing. And number 2, we're getting on Kol Haloshem, which is the telephone program that I'm on, almost to Shir 2 number 2000. You want to listen to that program? Every day is a Shir on one Aliyah. Sunday, Rishon, Monday, Sheni, Tuesday, Shlishi. Kol Haloshem, the number directly with Bnei Barak is a local number, costs you nothing. 718-395-2440. 718-395-2440. Now when you dial that, as soon as you hear the man pick up, you dial my code, because they have 325 Magidei Shir. How are you going to get me? Unless you dial 1110, 1110. And then you listen to my Shir, and they have 12,000 lectures, 1 million hours, I think, already in the last 5 years. 300 speakers, 12,000 lectures, and I think 1 million hours. So let's go to Toldos. Ve'eda Toldos Yitzchak ben Avram. These are the generations of Yitzchak and Avram. Avram gave birth to Yitzchak, and we know that already 60 years ago, but since Yitzchak had a son, Yaakov and Esau, they said, ooh, maybe Abraham really has relationship with Pharaoh or Abimelech, because maybe this child Yitzchak is not his child. Because look, they produced a Yishmael, and Yitzchak produced a Yaakov and Esau. So maybe it was true that Abimelech or Pharaoh had relations with her. So the old argument came up again. Maybe can't be that a man like Abraham could have Yishmael, and a person like Yitzchak could have Esau. So the old thing came up. So Torah tells you Abraham holidus Yitzchak, not Avram. Avram had Yishmael. Abraham had Yitzchak. Now she had these 2 children in her belly, and they were, every time she didn't know it was 2, because she went to the Droshes Elokim to find out from God. She went to Noach's son. He was still living. He was about 580 years old. His name is Shem, or Malki Tzedek, and she thought it was 1 child. And she went past the place of Avodah Zorah. The child was banging to come out. He went to past the place of monotheism, where he talked about a Kodesh Baruch Hu, because Avram had introduced it to the world years before. And the child wanted to come out. She thought it was 1 child. So Malki Tzedek, Shem, said to her, no, Shnei Goyim b'vitnei. You have 2 children in you, not 1. Because he said, Im Kaim, if I have so much pain, Lomo Zeh Anochi, what do I need this for? I'm not mechuyev in Prurvu, only a man is. What do I need this for? I'm not mechuyev in Prurvu. Like Chizkiyahu HaMelech, he was a bachelor, didn't want to get married. So the Navi told me, you have to get married. He says, no, but I see by Nevuah, I'm going to have a big Rasha. And he did, Menashe, who was one of the wickedest men in the history of mankind. Yeah, he did Shuvah then, but he did a lot of damage. So the Navi tells him, Hashem's strategy is not your business. Malo, what is this to you? The way a guy works. God works. He wants certain evil forces to come in the world. You think the Ovos, like Yitzchak, didn't know that he's going to have an evil child? Esau? That's not your business. You have to get married, and Hashem, and you do the best. And Hashem will do what He has to do. What is it to you, God's strategies? So Chizkiyahu got married, and he had a child, one of many children, Menashe, a wicked son. So he said, Lamazel, what do I need this for? It means he's mechuyev, so he's complaining. But Rivka's not mechuyev. What do I need this? I'm not mechuyev. The Vilna Gaon says something else. Lamazel nochi. She thought before she went to Shem, Malki Tzedek, that it was one child. He had a strong force for Avodah Zorah, and he had a strong will for monotheism, for Torah. One child with equal forces? Is there such a thing as Shtei Reshuyos? Two forces in the world that are equal? Imkei lo mozeh anochi. What does this mean? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am God, your God. One God. How can a human being have equal and opposite? So you say Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. If a person is not influenced by rotten society and bad parents and bad chevra, he will naturally be a decent person. He'll figure it out by logic that God exists, and you have to thank God, the invisible force behind all the forces. The guy Abraham Avinu was a regular person, and he sure he was a genius, but he figured out the forces and the idols that people make, it's all false, and it's not true. There's a force behind the sun and the moon and the star and the avalanches and the tsunamis and the earthquakes and the wind and the rain and all the forces, gravity, right? Gravity, magnetism. There's a force that's invisible. Everybody will come to that automatically. Leif tahar bara li'elikim. God created man with a pure soul. Ruach nachon chadish v'kirbi. Gave me a normal intellect. You can't have equal unless you're under bad influence. So Rivka says, what does it mean? I thought there's only one Rishus in the world, not two. So that's what the Vilna Gaon says. So she went to Grosh's Akim, she went to Shem, and Shem says, no, there are two people in it, and they will fight each other to the end of time. So they got birth, they got born, Behine, so surprise. So Mibivitna, twins were in her belly. Well, the man told you that they're going to be twins, Shnei Goyim, two nations will come out of this, so what's your surprise, Hine? Because they look exactly the same. You can never be fooled by two people that look the same. One may be a pure soul, clean as the driven snow, and one could be a con man that looks so good that he's a total fraud. You can never tell a book by its cover. Hine somim vitna, but somim is written without the normal way of writing twins. Te'umim. Te'umim. The aleph and yud is missing. The yud and aleph is 11. Because she complained, Lo Mozeh Anochi, she was punished. Only one son was born from her, not 11 more, 12. Because she was supposed to have all 12. So we went to Yaakov, next generation. Leah got 6 and the other got 12. So she said, Imkain Lo Mozeh Anochi, and you know how many words that? Imkain, here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. She's supposed to have 13 children, 12 boys and 1 girl. And so she's supposed to have 12 boys. So 11 were taken away. Se'umim. It says so-mim instead of te'u-mim. Yud and a mem and an aleph and a yud is missing. Te'umim. 11. So only had 1, Yaakov. And he was 60, and he was 60 years old when they were born. And as I told you last week, the Medrash HaGadol says she was not 3 years old. She was at the marriage 14, and 20 years later she was 34, and 34 years old. So I told you last week that she couldn't have been 3 years old. How could she pull up a water for 10 camels, 14 gallons per camel, 140 gallons? And they said she was a basula. But why, when they called her, they go with Eliezer, Rivka, she was called Naro. And you can't be a Naro until you're 12. And then they said, well, I'm not, Besuel and Lova said, we're not letting her go last week. She says, let's ask her what she has to say about it. When do you ask the Katana? She has no das. So she was not 3. And then she says, oh, you want to go with this man, Eliezer, last week's Pasha? She said, didn't say yes or no. She said, Eilech, I'm going with or without your permission. And she took her wet nurse with her, the nurse that will take care of her children. Well, if she's 3 years old, she's still in diapers, she doesn't have a wet nurse. And she can't be 3 years old if she's called Naro. And she can't be 3 years old if they call her and ask her opinion. And she can't be 3 years old if it says, she had no relations with any man at 3. So she had the 3-year-old neshama. That's what I told you last week. At the moment that the Sora died, the neshama of Sora went into this 11-year-old girl. And at the Akedah, 3 years later, she was 14. She had a 3-year-old neshama. So you say, how can a grown person have a new neshama? Every ger gets a new neshama. He could be 40 years old and gets a brand new neshama. Anyhow, so they got older, these 2 boys, and Esau was a hunter and stayed in the field, and Yaakov was Yosef Aholim, sitting in the tents, scholar in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Shem the father, Aver the grandson. And one day Abram died, but Esau wouldn't know anything about that. Abram the grandfather. So Yaakov made a red porridge, and because when a person dies, you have to feed him a food that doesn't have a mouth. Like now we do hard-boiled eggs, because it doesn't have a mouth. And the person who's sitting shiva is not allowed to complain. Open his mouth. Why did God do this to this 6-month-old baby or this 60-year-old person or 90-year-old person? You have no right to complain. You have to keep your mouth shut. And besides, those who come to be Menachem Avelim can't talk until the Oval talks to them. So that's why you serve a food that has no opening, like lentils. Now it's a hard-boiled egg. And the reason why we have in modern times a hard-boiled egg is because egg is the only food in the world. The only food that more you cook it, the harder it gets. Everything else gets softer. Carrots and meat. The only thing that gets harder is eggs. When Hashem gives you tzoros, you got to get tougher. Tougher and tougher and tougher. Eggs. The more you cook it, the harder it gets. You'll be able to take everything Hashem gives you. Even if he asks, like a person like Avram, to kill your own son. You have to accept that. So he says, yeah, and he was cooking this red stuff up, because lentils are red. Give me that red stuff. And he poured it into Esau's mouth. And he says, listen, I like to make a deal with you. You sell me the bechorah, because, you're out in the field all day. You do all these things that the Torah doesn't allow. And, you know what I mean? It's not for you. Besides, the dinim of bechorah, he said that Esau said it's going to kill me. It's going to, because they have a Levi and a bechor, who's a Kohen. In those days, the bechor was a Kohen. A Levi, a bechor, he makes a misstep in the base of Mikdash. My children will be Kohanim, and they're going to be killed if they come into Kodesh Kodashim, or they eat the Truma or the Meitzah, or if they're Tomei. I don't need it. Take it. So he sold it to Yaakov. Lamazi Bechorah. What do I need the Bechorah for? He sold it to him. And he did 5 Averos that day. He killed somebody, and he raped somebody, and he murdered somebody, and he did 5 Averos. He did a kfirah, didn't believe in God and everything. And he laughed at his brother, the fool, who gave him lentils for the Bechorah. And Esau thought he got a good deal, and Yaakov got nothing. It was just the opposite. And he wanted to leave the country, Yitzchak. And when he grew old, Yitzchak, the father, wanted to leave the country. And Hashem said, stop, don't go anywhere, because you were a korban. You can't leave the holy grounds where the Eretz Yisrael. Avram left the country, Yaakov left the country, but you can't. Because you were a korban, and you have to stay, and korban has to be eaten at a certain location. Eretz Yisrael is for you, the holy land, you can't leave. And I'm going to give you this country, don't worry about it. And he lived in Gerar, which is Gaza. And they said, who's this woman? He says, it's my sister. And finally he found out he lied to him. He says, what did you lie to me for? He says, because if I told you the truth, you'd kill me. And he trusted this Abimelech, trusted Yitzchak, and gave him wealth and gold and silver, because he realized this is a holy person. And that year, when there was a hunger, Yitzchak seeded a field, and he got Me'ah Sha'arim, 100 times its normal produce. in a hungry year, in the worst part of the country, in Gaza. And the Gror, that's Gaza. And so he got 100 times the produce. Some say it was 1,000. The 100 that he got was only a miser, a tenth. And a tenth of 1,000 is 100. So he really got 1,000 times produce. So he became very wealthy, and finally Avimelech and the Pelishtim, they couldn't stand him because he became very, very wealthy. He says, Lech me, I want to get away from us. Get out of here. So he chased him out. But before that, they had made a bris together in Brer Shova, where they swore not to hurt each other. Like Avraham made a bris with them in the earlier generations. And they dug wells, and the Goyim covered up the wells and put in dirt there. So, it says here, Vayurivo Roe Gror and Roe Yitzchak, the shepherds of Gror, which is down in Gaza, were fighting with the shepherds of Yitzchak. They say, that well belongs to us, that well belongs to us, that well belongs to us. So he said, no, it doesn't, it's ours. So the first well was called Asek, fight, strife. The second was called Sitnos, Satan, they hindered Yitzchak to own it. The third one was called Rechovos, freedom, they left him alone. They covered up the wells before they dug the new ones. You know what that means? If you don't like somebody, and he has a diamond mine, or a gold mine, or a mansion, you want his mansion, or you want his cattle in his field, you don't kill all the cattle, or blow up the diamond mine, or blow up his house. You kill the person and take the thing. Why would they cover up the wells? They covered up the wells. Why would you cover up well in those countries? Well is like a diamond mine. That's where the water comes from. In those countries, you don't have water, you die. Why you satmum? They stuffed up the well. Why would you stuff up a well? If I would have a dispute about a gold mine with you, I don't blow up the gold mine or the diamond mine or blow up the house. No, I'll get rid of you and take the house and the mine. So it doesn't mean they stuffed them up. It says that Avraham Avinu, during his lifetime, made so many Bali Tshuva out of the Philistines, Palestinians, Pelishtim, that when Abram moved away, the other Goyim filled them up with dirt. They taught them Avodah Zarah again, got rid of the pure water that Abram had instilled in them. And Yitzchak made them Baal Tshuvas again, took out the schmutz and the dirt. By the way, the word in Hebrew, shemetz, a stain. That's why you get the Yiddish word schmutz, dirt. Anyhow, the shemetz that the Philistines put into these people told them that monotheism is nonsense, it's a crazy religion, and Yitzchak reconverted them back to Yiddish guy, made a Bali Tshuva. And they had another bris, another party. And they said, okay, we won't touch you, you won't touch us. We know, Abimelech said, one day you're getting this country, we know that. Please be nice to our children and grandchildren forevermore. So they made a deal together, and they both went away in peace, Yitzchak and Abimelech. And Yitzchak was getting older, and he wanted to give a bracha to his son, Esav. And he says, make me some nice madanim, nice meat, go out in the field and hunt me and hunt a beautiful deer and prepare it nicely and I'll eat it and I'll give you a bracha. And Rivka was listening to this. She knew that Avram's had a bracha from Hashem, that whoever you bless, get blessed. He gave it to Yitzchak. And Yitzchak wanted to give it to the wrong son, Esav. And Rivka said, this cannot be, because if he holds in his hand, Esav, the power of the future of humanity, the world is over. She made her son Yaakov Ish Emes, dressed him up in Esav's clothes with hairy hands and hairy things, and then the clothes that Esav used to wear, and hairy hand, because Esav was a hairy fella. He says, go into your father with this beautiful dish here and tell him you're Esav. But Yaakov says, I can't. It's a sheker, it's a lie. He says, I'm telling you to do that. And he knew that his mother was right, because when he was 15, his mother had the idea of making that lentils to get the bracha, to get the bechorah, and he was successful. He's 63 now, and that was 15. So when he was 15, that's 53, that's 47 years ago. And he says, you will not get blessed, you will not get cursed by your father. He'll never discover it, and if he discovers it, he'll never get cursed. And if you get disturbed, you get cursed, or lie kill b'ni, your curse goes on me. It will not go on you. And Olai stands for Ayin Lamed Yud. Stands for three things that were bad in Yaakov's life, but it was not the curse of his father. One was Ayin. One was Esau, his brother hated him. Lamed Lavan hated him, wanted to kill him after 20 years. And Yosef. Yosef was at Tsar for 20 years. He didn't know where his son was. But it's not Yitzchak. Esau, Lavan, Yosef. He suffered from Esau, Lavan, and Yosef. 20 years he suffered from Lavan. And when his brother was chasing him around like for years. Esau, Lavan, and Yosef, he thought he was dead. You say, what about Dinah? She was abused. No. After a day or two or three, the two brothers, the 12-year-olds, Shimon and Levi, wiped out the whole town. Revenge. What about Shimon was kidnapped, the brothers, and they had to taken by Yosef because they didn't know who Yosef was, the king of Egypt. And he came back eventually. And then Binyamin, the little son he had to give, he came back too. So really, he only had three tzoras. Esau, Love, and Yosef. Olai, but he didn't have it from Yitzchak. He said, don't worry, nothing will happen. So he went in and he got the bracha. And now I want to end with one thing. When he got in, he says, Kum no Avi, please get up, Dad, from the bed and sit by the table. Esau comes in, wait, when Yaakov leaves, he says, Yaakov Avi, get up, pop. There's no no, there's no please. So how does the Gemara say no one in the world could ever come to 100th of the level of Kibbut Av of Esau? Shimon Gamliel says, I can't come to 100th of the Kibbut Av of Esau. That's why he got until this day, they have great fortune. Until it's going to be used up, this chusim. How do you say that when Yaakov comes in and says, Yakum, no, please, Dad, would you mind getting up? I have the meal here. And he comes in and he says, Yakum Avi, get up, Dad. That's called derech eretz. You mean no one reached that level? I want to tell you a tremendous concept here of chinuch of children and students. When a person tries his best, and he's not polished, and he's not educated, but he's completely, totally, 1,000% sincere in the midst of what he's doing. If he's totally sincere, even though he's a little coarse, but he's totally sincere, he does the maximum of his ability, that's godless, that's great. If a person tries, and his whole life he only learned one Masechta, 25 times, only Rashi Tosfos, and he knows it perfect, and he suffered over every word. And another person is very brilliant, learned through Shas 10 times, and he only uses 30% of his effort. Who gets more reward in the world to come? In the secular world, you repay a person due to his results. You don't pass the test, you fail, tough luck. In the world of Torah, it's just the opposite. In the Torah, you're not rewarded for results, you're rewarded for effort. Lefum tzara. According to your stress, that's your reward. It has to do with the heart, the mind, the dedication, sincerity. If a person is not so bright, but he tries very hard, and he learning or do mitzvahs the best of his ability, even though he does it wrong, but he means it pure, no one can match that. Even if you do the mitzvah much better, but you're not fully in it like he is. The fumtzaro agra, the reward is going to your effort, not to your results. That's why Yosef says, Yakum Avi, get up, Dad. He's a rough guy, but he meant it pure. He put on special clothes when he served his father. Special clothes. That is clothes from Gan Eden that he got from Adam Rishon, who gave it to Nimrod, and he killed Nimrod. And he got that, he wore that when he served his father. Even though his father was blind, Yitzchak. That's called keep it up to the max. Rabbi side, we're finished our shir. And have a good week. And we'll see you again next week in Yirtzeh Hashem. And it was not too long of a shir because some people tell me more than 25 minutes is just too much. Sei gesund.